Hi, what's up, guys? This is Tommy T, and this is my beautiful wife, Artieka. And you're here watching. I'm pretty sure you know what you're watching, or listening to. But this is the August Love Story podcast. Thank you guys for enjoying us,
indulging,
listening into our thoughts. So, this episode today, what are we talking about today?
Okay, so like a week or two ago, you sent me a link from CNN that was talking about what makes a successful relationship. So I was like, let's talk about it.
Well, let's talk about it.
So they polled like 11,000 people over the course of a study, and what was found was that let's start off. They assess relationships from a personal standpoint, like how you feel about yourself, and then how you feel about yourself in a relationship.
I got you.
So they went through and assessed different identifiers. So they took out age, gender, income, things like that. Like they just made everybody like blanket.
Yeah.
Like, let's clear everything up, figure it out. We're gonna like break everything down. So it says that the relationship characteristics that best predicted a person's satisfaction, not satisfaction in a relationship, just their personal satisfaction, were perceived partner commitment, appreciation, sexual satisfaction, perceived partner satisfaction, and conflict. So I guess conflict, they didn't explain it, but my guess for conflict would be how they resolved it.
Okay, I got you.
So with those, that's the perception of their own relationships. And then the individual characteristics that best predicted a person's relationship satisfaction were life satisfaction, negative effects, depression, attachment avoidance, and attachment anxiety. So I thought that those were all sounded very Debbie Downer-ish.
Yeah.
So let's start at that end and work our way back positive. Okay.
Cool.
So individual characteristics that best predicted a person's relationship satisfaction, life satisfaction. So like for me, looking at life satisfaction, I thought that when you are satisfied with the way that your life is going overall, it's not difficult to be in a satisfying relationship.
Yeah.
But when you're looking at things from a negative place, like I hate my job, I hate this, I hate that, like I weigh too much, what are all the things that people don't like about themselves? Like I don't like the way my hair looks, I don't like my job, I don't like how I look. You are gonna have a harder time finding happiness in a relationship.
Yeah.
And I hate to use this as an example, but going back to Jada and Will.
Oh my God.
And August Alsina.
Yeah.
Will said that he was tired of trying to make Jada happy. And for Jada, it wasn't that she didn't, I won't say that she didn't have money. She didn't have Will's money, but she had access to Will's money.
Yeah.
She had access to fame, which we know fame is a drug. So you got to control that.
Right.
But she had access to everything, but it was something in her that wasn't making her happy internally. And Will was just tired of trying. And so she found her happiness in trying to fix someone else.
Yeah.
So I look at that as when you like go back and you look at it internally, like a lot of people, especially women, feel like they can't be happy unless they're trying to fix someone.
Yeah.
So that's why like people get these, especially very successful women, get in relationships with men and they're not, for lack of better words, doing anything. Like they get with a guy that's like, that wants to be with them.
So it's kind of like they get a fixer-upper.
Yeah. And I hate to think of it that way, but that's literally how it is, because we always see these studies that are talking about how women are more educated now, and we're doing this and we're doing that, especially Black women. Like, it feels like I get beat over the head with these Black women studies. Like, the more level of education that you obtain as a Black woman, the less, like, the smaller your dating pool is if you want someone that's equal to you. And I guess when you look at that, it is a level of satisfaction within yourself, but you feel like you have to, like, you're just going to settle. I won't say settle, but you're going to take what you can get.
But the thing about it is, or the thing that I see with the level of education versus, you know, your happiness or whatnot, or your success level, is that when people look at that, just, you know, hey, I'm a lawyer, like, we're all equal. So a lawyer can, whatever somebody thinks the lowest type of job it is.
Probably, like, I mean, people probably think like warehouse or fast food or something like that.
So
an hourly position.
Right. You know, like, they can date. They can be happy with each other, because all the things or the parameters around a successful relationship, because that's what we're talking about, is a between you and I type deal.
It's not how the world views it, because I look at it like, when we started dating, I was quote unquote more successful than you. You made more money than me.
Yeah.
But if you look at it on paper, degrees, I had more degrees than you. Congratulations, by the way, for graduating. Tommy just graduated with his master's in accounting.
Yay.
But like, now we're on level playing field when it comes to degrees.
But I never thought about that.
I didn't either.
You know? But like, and that's the thing. It's like, when I feel like the more successful relationships are able to keep the outside noise out of it. Like, it's okay for what we do. We tell our experience in the situations, or our opinions in situations, for the betterment of other people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But for us to be successful, or for us to really keep moving forward in the direction that we want to, we can't we can hear what other people say. We can, you know, we take what we need.
You can't internalize it.
Right. You can't internalize it, but we take what we need, or we take what's useful to us, and we apply it to our situation.
Right.
Being able to hear the stories, being able to relate to other people are good and dandy, but you have to be able to remove the noise.
Right.
And really come into, what is it that we're doing? It doesn't matter what people see, it's what we're doing in my internal happiness with whoever I choose to be with.
Right.
Yeah, so like, that was something I always was interested in, because from the outside looking in, if you take the Meghan Markle, is that her name?
Yes.
And Prince Harry, right?
Yes.
They had issues with that because of royalty
and commoner,
and a common girl. Same
even
thing with their mom.
Even though for us, we didn't look at Meghan Markle as a commoner per se, because she was in the entertainment industry. Her best friend is Serena Williams.
Yeah, so
that automatically makes her not like the girl who best friend is Serena that work at Target.
Yeah.
So I mean,
but it's also, you know, you think about it in the sense of, that's what they thought. Now it is a thing of, you know, somebody dating for money, like you know, people get together with people because they have money and they're just trying to use people. So that's a completely different thing. No, you're not going to be happy if it's about money, because money is not what makes you happy. It's the things that you get with money that makes you happy. Money is just a tool.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
so
true.
I always feel like,
I was ready to argue that, but you were right.
No, it's an instrument to get you to where you're trying to go.
No, that's what I'm saying. I agree with that statement. But like, I was gonna be like, money doesn't make you happy. It can, but it's true. Money provides you the access for what you want. Yeah,
and I mean, like, it's interesting today, because the more money you make, the more attractive you are to people.
Allegedly.
But I mean, like Biggie said it best, man. Big, fat, black, ugly.
I wouldn't have dated Biggie.
Right, but a lot of women would have.
I mean,
I'm a huge Biggie fan, by the way. I ain't gonna say huge, but I like Biggie.
I guess I look at it from a standpoint that I have never dated guys for money. And I've dated guys that have money. Yeah. But I've dated guys that didn't as well. So for me, I guess I'm looking at it like I want to be happy in my relationship. And while your money can buy me things, if you're a trash person, you're just a trash person with money. And a trash person isn't going to make me happy.
Right.
And your money can only go so far with it.
That was for me, that was the ultimate thing. When we got together, it was like, how do I had gotten comfortable with being by myself. Mm-hmm. And I always think about the things that I did, how I moved, how I thought during that time, because it was like I had to get comfortable with myself. I had to learn who I was in order to be able to have fun with someone else. I had to learn how to love myself before I could love someone else.
You never hear men talk about
what?
Loving themselves.
Well, I know that I love me some Tommy.
Okay. All right.
But I had to learn how to do that and be comfortable in doing that. And, when we got together or when you came around, it was just now I have somebody to talk to out loud. You know what I'm saying? I have somebody to experience this with. I have somebody I can go call or recall a memory with and laugh, you know?
I can see that.
And that's where we come in, and I enjoyed it.
So I want to jump ahead. I'm going to skip over negative effect because I don't really know what that means. Depression, that's a blanket statement. If you're depressed, you can't honestly, I won't say you can't be happy, because depression is an underlying mental, like it's affecting your mental health. Like you can pretend to go on every day, like even like comedians are depressed. They can make you laugh, but they still have a depression element. Yeah. So I'm just going to leave that alone. That'll be an episode for us in the future when we can sit down with a therapist.
I got you.
But the last two were about attachment. So attachment avoidance and attachment anxiety. And I remember telling you at the beginning of our relationship that I have issues with abandonment. And that causes me, and I don't know why I have them, because I wasn't abandoned by anyone, but I do have issues with abandonment. And I look at it as you have two completely varying degrees of attachment. Either you're completely attached or you completely detached. Yeah. I'm a detacher. Like I want to detach myself from you. Like I need to be Artieka, you be Tommy. We don't need to be Artieka and Tommy all the time. And I've noticed that friends and family group us together all the time. Like if I answer the phone, they're like, what y'all doing? I don't know what he doing. I don't even know where he is. You could be sitting in the room with me, but I'm going to say something like that because it's part of my internal issues that I have. And I know that I have those, so I can let that go at some point in life. But when you look at attachment avoidance, I think that is something to very much so think about, because if you're happy in yourself, you do at times attempt to avoid attaching yourself to someone else, especially if you've gone through heartbreak, really bad breakups, death, things like that. Like you find a way to detach yourself so that you don't get hurt again. It's a coping mechanism. Yeah. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah. It's a coping mechanism. Have you ever had any issues with attachment? You're an attacher. No, you being a pair. Oh, yeah. No,
I think I never had an issue with it, or it was always healthy for me. Mm-hmm. But like you said, I do like to be around. Mm-hmm. I do like to.
You like to be in the mix,
right? I enjoy that. I enjoy conversations. I enjoy company. Mm-hmm. When it comes to us, we're opposite in that realm, because it doesn't bother me for people to say y'all, or it doesn't bother me.
It doesn't bother me, but I like to make a clear distinction.
Right. Like, I care less. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, you know, your big thing is RD space. I had to grow comfortable with that because I didn't understand what that meant in the beginning. But now it's like I understand what it means because now I focus on different things. It was like you would just need space to go do nothing. I still do. But it's like... That's real life for me. But it's like for me, it was like, okay, well, she can go over here and do this. Well, I'm going to go figure this out. You know, and I've gotten to a time now where I'm always having little projects for myself to do. But that's just me. I always have to be doing something. You do. And that's one of the issues with the two of us is that I have the detachment and you have the attachment. So we had to learn how to work through those two things together. All right. So on the other side, we have the relationship characteristics that best predicted a person's satisfaction, which were perceived partner commitment, appreciation, sexual satisfaction, perceived partner satisfaction, and conflict. So I'm going to group two of these together, the perceived partner commitment and perceived partner satisfaction. And I group those two together because I look at them as if they're kind of like they go hand in hand. If you think your partner is satisfied, you're going to assume that they're going to be committed. Make sense? Yeah, it does make sense, but... You wouldn't put them together? Yeah. Gonna do it for the sake of time. No, I hear you. So I guess when I look at the commitment side of things, you have to, in the beginning, first off, decide what the rules are. So that looks different in every relationship. And then that gets you the satisfaction because once you know the rules, you get to set a standard for commitment and then a standard for what satisfaction is for that commitment. Right. Because I know that we have conversations about friends and other, even people that we don't really know. Like I watch a lot of reality TV. He's just along for the ride. But when we watch reality TV, even seeing couples, we be like, oh, I wouldn't deal with this, or I can see how that could happen in a relationship. So once you know the rules, you can understand what your partner is going to put up with and what you can perceive to make them satisfied. Which then, you got anything to add on that? No, go ahead. Which then goes into, what was the exact terminology? Because I was just about to be sex. Sexual satisfaction was the thing. Now I know you have a lot to say about that. Nope, I don't. You don't? Okay. So you have, I guess the commitment would be linked to the perceived sexual satisfaction because most of the time that's why people say they're cheating. Yeah. Is because they're not satisfied. Although a lot of people can argue sexual satisfaction versus overall satisfaction as a reason for not being committed. Yeah. Yeah. So I have nothing. Absolutely. I thought you was about to reach in there and pull something out. I was trying to, but for me, it's for me to be. I feel like sex is a learned behavior. Okay. So the more it's like playing basketball. The more you do it, the better you're gonna get. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So I kind of put sex in its own category. Because everybody likes it, you know, like I ain't never met a person that was like, despise sex. You know there's asexual people, right? No, I didn't know that. But you do, but like for the commitment part, mentally a person has to say, I'm ready to commit to this person because, you know, or I'm ready to exclusively be with this person. This is my person. This is I love to do this with this person. I love to do that with this person. So it's that. Just don't love to do that with too many people. Right. Then it gets kind of, that's where the confusion comes from. But, and it takes a mature person to say, hey, I'm committed to you. Now I'm ready to learn how to deal in this world with a person.
Okay.
Because that's what basically marriages are. It's dealing in the world with each other. You know?
I think on that same note, and this is a total sidebar, I think your grandmother was the first person that made me realize that about marriage. Because like when your grandfather died, we talked about how many years they had spent together versus how many they had spent apart. And I was like, wow, you have lived more than half of your life being with this one person. And it wasn't a negative connotation. It was just like literally like looking at the span of it and saying, hey, I've been alive for, I think it was like 80 at that point, and she had spent 61 of her 80 years in a relationship with one person.
Right.
And that was just like, that was mind-boggling to me to be able to see that on paper. So like understanding the satisfaction and the commitment side of it, like putting that all together, your grandmother never talked about sex.
I'm glad.
But I guess perceived sexual satisfaction kind of goes out the window when you get to a certain point in your relationship. And I say that because you're not having sex either at all or as much.
Well, like I said, man, it's like that being true. I always thought of sex as being the bonus.
Okay.
Because you can learn how to please your partner. But both partners, one has to be willing to teach and the other one has to be willing to learn. You know, because we all come in thinking that we know how to do something because sex is such a natural thing. You're born to know how to have sex, but you're not born to know how to please a person because
you can do it, but you can't necessarily do it well.
Right. Each person, everybody has their own thing that they like and dislike. So that's where, you know, that's why sex to me is in its own little drawer or whatnot. But you have to be able to be happy and be committed to a person because of their other character traits. You know, so, you know, just to kind of piggyback off of my grandma and granddad, you know, every day wasn't a good day. And she talked about that. And, you know, that, so she was, you know, that being okay, that you know, you come into the situation knowing that every day is not going to be a good day.
Every day isn't roses at the door.
Right. You're
some days it's slamming pots.
Right. You know, it's some days you like, hey, we just going to stay apart today. You know, it's just one of those things because as human beings, we are not meant to be the same. As much as, you know, as they say, hey, two becomes one once you get married, you're still two individual people.
You still have to have your individual interests and things of that nature.
And so, you know, but that's what's inside that commitment. I commit to you knowing that every day is not going to be a perfect day. I commit to you knowing that some days are going to be perfect and I'm going to mess up. I commit that I know that some you're going to mess up. But I commit this to you to work this world together.
Right.
And that's what that commitment is. I guess I did pull something out when it ain't got it out.
And last but not least was conflict. I didn't really have a lot to say about this because a person's satisfaction tied to conflict didn't really resonate with me because you don't want to have a lot of conflict.
I always look at the resolution.
Yeah, and it didn't say conflict resolution. I think if it had said conflict resolution, I would have felt a little bit more strongly about it. But it just mentioned the word conflict and not necessarily resolving the conflict.
Yeah. I don't
want to have them.
I mean, like, I guess the satisfaction of just understanding that there's going to be conflict, like I just said, I don't really know. Because, I mean, like, it's going to be conflict with brothers and sisters, mothers and sons, mothers and children, dads and children.
And I try to reduce my conflict with everybody. With my siblings, I am so quick to just say, okay. Same with you, though. Yeah. Like, I just, across the board, okay. I'm not gonna argue.
But it's like it's just a part of life. You know what I'm saying? But it's how you respond to that conflict and how well you can bounce back to the commitment. Mm-hmm. You know, bounce back to that good place. Yeah. Sometimes you do have to have a break and be like, look, we just not going to talk about it for a little while. We'll come back to it, you know. But sitting there driving the Hammer, sometimes you got to pause and take a step back, just because you could say something that you regret saying. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's
like, that's why your mama.
You know, it's hard. You can say something that is hard to come back to. Yeah. So it's you know, I don't really understand like how the conflict ties in with satisfaction.
We're gonna have to do a little bit deeper digging in this story.
Yeah,
I'm going to share the link to the actual story on our website, 3ampmediastudios.com. You click on you click on the blog tab. There'll be a story associated with this particular episode, and you'll be able to like look at the story if you want a little bit more insight about it. But you got anything else for this?
No, that's it.
All right. Well, I'm good. Let's move on.
All right. Is that it for that one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Did we have any listener letters?
Boy, did we. Please send your listener letters to ouraugustlovestory@gmail.com in hopes that we will read it aloud on the show. One of these days, we're going to do just a listener letter episode.
Right,
that's going to be fun.
I just shoot off answers.
So this person says, I feel stuck in my relationship, and I'm trying to paraphrase as I'm reading, guys. I feel like a majority of the time I don't want to be with my partner. A little backstory. I had my first child in 2017, and her father and I are no longer together. I met my current partner in 2018, and we moved in together in 2019, and then we had a child together later in the year of 2019. Things moved a lot faster than I would have liked for them to. I feel like we didn't get to know each other well enough. He's bonded with my oldest daughter, and she loves him. She even calls him daddy. I want to end this relationship, but I don't want to rob her of that relationship. What would you do?
Oh, I wouldn't rob the child of a relationship, but you have to be happy as a human being, like we've been talking about.
This tied in perfectly. I didn't even know that when I picked this letter. You
have to be happy in your relationship and everything like that. So, you figure it's definitely a conversation to have with him. You know, because of course he's gonna detach from, well, maybe not from your oldest child because he has a child with you. Yeah. But it's definitely a conversation you have to talk about, like, why aren't you happy? Or, you know what I'm saying? Because you have to know. You have to live with this. Yeah. Your kid's gonna grow up, and here it is that you've been in a relationship with somebody that doesn't make you happy, all because of your children. And
that's a sad and hard life to live. Right,
because any and everything is going to irritate you to the point to where it's boiling over into the family life.
Or you're going to cheat.
Right. So to not...
It sounds so matter-of-factly. Right. Or you're going to cheat.
So to not disrupt everything for your children, the best thing to do, I feel, would be to have that conversation and really take a step back from what you guys are doing.
My suggestion would be, number one, evaluate what it is about this relationship that you don't like. I'm not an advocate for staying in relationships that are not serving you, but you need to evaluate what about this relationship you don't like, because until you figure out what the issue is, you're not going to be able to resolve it. If it's just him as a person that you don't like, then I think that the letter would have been written differently. Yeah. I think that there is something that you're not getting that you feel that you want from him. And I'm not sure what that is because I'm not reading anything into the actual letter. But I think that if you just wanted to be done with him, things would come off differently, and the way that your children feel about it would not be impacting how you navigate your relationship. Like for me, my mother dated a guy that I loved before she married my stepdad, and that relationship did not serve her. I don't know why. I don't really know anything about like why they broke up, because that wasn't my business at the time, and I was probably like 8 or 9 when they broke up. So at that point, it didn't really matter. But even in his death, because her boyfriend died when I was an adult, like I had graduated from college and he was an adult. I mean, I was an adult. I still had a relationship with him prior to him dying. And when he passed away, like his mother reached out to me about coming to his funeral. Yeah. So for me, I was still able to foster a relationship with him. Now I know your daughter is a lot younger because she's like 3-ish, 3 or 4. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult to navigate. But for me, like from 9 or 10 years old until I was like 22, 23 years old, I still was able to keep a relationship with this guy, even though he wasn't my dad. He wasn't my stepdad. He was just a guy that my mom dated that I was very fond of. And it didn't feel wrong for my mom to allow me to still see him. Like, she wasn't taking me over to his house, but if he called the house and he wanted to talk to me, she would let me talk to him. But he never had kids, so I get it. It's a different dynamic. Like, he felt connected to me and my brother, and we both talked to him all the time. I would say that when you have the conversation with him, because ultimately you're likely going to break up with him. When you have the conversation with him, make sure to ask in a manner that doesn't seem like he has to do this for your daughter, because he doesn't. That's not his child, and he does not have to have a relationship with her at all. So I would try to, for your daughter and for him, because if your daughter's calling him daddy, there's something there that he like feels impacted to be the positive role model in her life, or at least the role model in her life. I can't say if it's positive or negative, but make sure that your daughter and him can both have a relationship outside of you that will allow her to feel loved and feel needed and feel like she has that type of, I won't say family structure, but like she feels a part of something with him, even though you're not with him. That would be my advice.
Sound advice to me.
Yeah. Took a long road to get there. I take a long road to get everywhere. But
you got there. Yeah, I did. You should do.
I did. It's okay.
Well, I guess that's our episode, man. Hopefully that answered your question or helped in some type of way. That's all I try to be, is helpful when I can be. All right, so what's our quote for the episode?
So today's quote is going to come from Earl, DMX to y'all. But this is from the song How It's Going Down. What type of games is being played? How's it going down? If it's on till it's gone, then I got to know now. If you with me or what, they gonna try to give me a nut. Just honeys want to give me the butt. What? I was listening to DMX earlier today at work. Okay.
That's funny.
Don't tell my boss.
That is hilarious. Well, guys, thank you guys for listening to another episode of August Love Story, the podcast. We really appreciate you guys. This episode was produced by 3M Media. If you would, what's our social media?
August Love Story on Instagram. August Love Story on Facebook. YouTube, August Love Story, the podcast. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share our videos. Like, our channel is growing. We're really, really excited about it. We just added in, well, I can't say just because it's been like 4 weeks of it now, but we added in our Married at First Sight review. So that's something that we've like been consistently doing on the channel. Those are going to come out on Thursday. So if you could just like our video, subscribe to our channel, comment. Like, I enjoy or we enjoy, because most of the time it's me, but I always run the comments past him. We enjoy talking to you guys about like episodes, what's going on. At some point soon, because Tommy has graduated, my air horns, pew, 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 pew. We're going to start back doing the after shows. We just have to figure out our schedule logistically to make that a thing. But we're going to start back doing those, and we're going to start bringing out new content as well. Also, Tommy's other channel and podcast, Speaker Geekers Podcast, just added on a new host. So check that out. It's a great, like, y'all are a trio now instead of a dynamic duo.
Right, we are a trio.
Like, check them out. They talk about all things music, mostly hip hop, but they do go into other genres. Like, they had a really great episode about classical music, women in hip hop. Like, it's been like an interesting journey to see them record and like share their thoughts with the world. So guys, if you could like that one, and I'll have the link for their podcast below. If you're watching this on YouTube. Also, the link to the episode, the link to the story that we got today's episode from is also going to be below. And that's it.
That's it?
That's it.
You got it. That's everything.
That was my church notes.
All right, guys. Well, we're out, man. So peace.
Bye.